Does your heart pound when you walk into a crowded room, or do you begin to sweat profusely when you have to speak to strangers? Well, chances are you may have social anxiety or social phobia, which is what I'm helping you conquer today. Now, believe it or not, many Americans suffer from social anxiety and cause distress in their personal and professional lives. Now, social anxiety, what is it? It's an excessive and unreasonable fear of social situations, and there are many triggers to social anxiety. Now, some of those triggers are normal. They're meeting new people, talking to important people like your boss or a supervisor. Believe it or not, going to public bathrooms, people have social anxiety about that.
Yeah, pretty nasty.
Yeah, pretty gross, pretty gross. Eating in public, drinking in public, or speaking at meetings, public speaking, those types of things. Even going to a party, you know, people may
I know a lot of
really
people
have high anxiety.
who are afraid of going to parties, or like you're the spouse and you don't want to go to your, your spouse's party because
they
I don't
may
know anyone
leave
there,
you, and then you're like,
right, it's all your friends and your work friends and all
Now,
that stuff.
imagining people in their underwear doesn't always work.
No,
it's
Marsha
not.
Brady.
That's what they always tell you to do.
I
Yeah, but here's what you can do, and you guys know I say this all the time, but there's a deep-rooted fear to anxiety anyway, because you're always wondering or concerned or worrying about what could be. So what's the fear? What are you afraid of? But once you find out what you're afraid of, replace the negative thoughts with something positive. That has to become a way of life. I think that the reason why a lot of anxiety is so prevalent is because we ruminate over negativity.
It's like a worst case scenario.
Exactly.
Kind of thing. So how do we replace it with something positive?
Yeah,
What does that mean?
and really quick, a perfect example would be when I go to the party, everyone's going to absolutely hate me. Or I'm going to trip and fall. Or I'm going to embarrass myself. No, you're not going to. When you go to the party, I'm going to be great. I'm going to go in. I'm going to smile. I'm going to have a good time. I'm going to walk up and shake your hand.
They're going to think I'm interesting.
They are going to think I'm
I'll be
interesting.
swinging from the chandelier, singing karaoke. All right, maybe those are my parties.
Oh, you're telling us a lot, Michelle. Another thing that you can do is meditation before you go into a place. Typically, we get very anxious, our heart starts to beat, but it's finding that center. And it's meditating, and it's finding, and there's so many different ways you can meditate. And I always tell, Google search a good meditation and start to at least employ one of them.
You know what helps me is thinking that the other people there are probably just as uncomfortable as I am, and so I'm amongst friends.
Yeah,
exactly. And but see, that's a reframe. That's a positive, turn into a positive. And then finally, it's exposure therapy. Now, exposure therapy is doing the very thing you hate to do and do. So if you're afraid to get into an elevator and what are they going to tell you to do?
do it.
Get into an elevator, and you do it over and over and over. That's exposing yourself to what you least like, and then you'll eventually get over it. So that's the conquer for today.
You can do it.